In this demonstration, we're going to be looking at how Gluware provides third-party automation of Cisco's SD-WAN, also known as Viptela. So we're going to jump in here to the Gluware console here and get logged in. And while you could do this automation or do these changes through vManage, what we're going to highlight for you is how Gluware's config modeling really makes it streamlined and simplified. And so first what we see here is that the so-called node in this case is the SD-WAN controller. We have the IP address of the controller, and we're going to go ahead and we're connected to that controller, and we're going to execute an embedded workflow to discover data. So one of the big positives of the Cisco SD-WAN solution is it has an API capabilities. We're able to ingest the API or speak to the API and ingest the various data models that we need out of the platform. So this is actually quite powerful because while Cisco SD-WAN is an underlying data model platform, Gluware is also a data model platform, and so we've ingested the device templates, the feature templates, and the localized policies. So now that we've ingested these templates, or we have the ability to see them from the system, we're going to select the ones that we want to take from the underlying SD-WAN system and pull them into Gluware. So once those are pulled into Gluware, they become constructs that we can automate and then leverage for initial provisioning or changing. So we've now identified those templates. We're now taking those templates and mapping them into config modeling. So a big benefit of users who are already Gluware users who use it to automate CLI capabilities will be very familiar with config modeling and appreciate how, even though you're automating API-based system here with an SDN controller, it's actually quite similar. So here what we're doing is navigating the constructs within Gluware, and here we can look at localized policy and see a series of these templates that we've read in from vManage. So right now we're just kind of browsing through some of the capabilities and constructs that we've ingested. So what we're getting to here is that we're going to be working towards provisioning a node. So what I'm showing here is that, what you see inside vManage with your basic information, your control plane and management plane is all the same. So if you're a vManage user, when you move over to Gluware to automate, it's going to look and feel very familiar. A tremendous benefit is that we can customize the data model to only expose the SKUs and the features that you see. One of the other big pain points is the localized data. So what we're showing here is that Gluware can pull in the localized data form, and this form, if you're going to be provisioning a node, you have to provide all the details of this form. So Gluware can ingest the form from the underlying controller, and then we can see what data needs to be inserted or configured prior to provisioning the device. So we had already ingested that data one. Now we're just showing a separate execution to read, and then we're going to say, okay, here are the various templates. Which one do I want to expose or set to data 2 here? I select it, and what you're going to see here is that form becomes available natively within the Gluware system. So this is a way, again, to kind of, how do you map data from a controller, in this case vManage, and pull it into Gluware to automate it. So here's where you see all the 20 or so forms that are required, values that are required. Gluware has an underlying data model. We happen to use JSON that we can leverage that form, and we can also render or pull the data. So we have ways that you can either enter it manually, or you can pull it or push it programmatically. And you really want to be automating as much as you can of that form data instead of requiring your users to go and fetch that data. So let's get a bit more into it. Again, back into the config modeling environment here, I have my device, which in this case is an SDN controller. It is mapped to a template called our assembly, and all the blue components there you can see are all the underlying features that are part of the template that we're going to be automating. So when we look to automate a new device, you need to choose 3 key components here. You need your device template, your feature template, and then the device specific template or the localized data template. So when you're building that or provisioning that within Gluware, it's the exact same component. We're doing those things, and then we identify how we're building it, and then we provision. So what you see here now is Gluware talking to the controller, and we're going to be spinning up a new site. So that site has already been, the box has already been connected. It is essentially kind of phoned home to the controller. The controller is aware it's there. And now Gluware is, through API, provisioning that device with the templates. So you can see that, again, a very nice component here is all the interaction Gluware has with the API is visible through the logs. So you get very, very detailed logs about the type of device, if it's a vEdge or cEdge, and the interaction as it gets provisioned. So we'll take a look here as it completes here. So now we look back at vManage, and we'll see the WAN edge count increment here from 4 to 5, and we could have done much more, but at least this is a starting point.